I will say that my number one line and probably my favorite duty that I have every day is the Carline. That is your number one communication with parents. That's where they see you and interact with you. You know, when you open some of those doors and, you know, half of breakfast falls out with those children and you see where they come from, you start to, you know, homework's not that big of a deal. You know, I see why they didn't finish their homework last night.
Welcome to the BJU Press Teacher Edition podcast, where Christian educators are encouraged and inspired as we bring you interviews, practical ideas, strategies, and answer your questions about teaching in today's culture. And here's your host, Jenny Copeland.
Welcome to this week's episode on the Teacher Edition podcast. It is a privilege to be with you, and I really do appreciate you taking time to be with us. As we get started today, let me encourage you to take a few minutes to find and like us or follow us on social media. We know thousands are listening to the show on various platforms, but let me encourage you to follow the show or like it, depending where you're listening. On Facebook, on YouTube, we're Teacher Edition Podcast. And then, of course, on Instagram and TikTok, we are Teacher Edition Pod. And don't forget about our website, teachereditionpodcast.com. Our website has great information about the show and also a little bit more about our guests, as well as any resources that they recommend when they're on the show. It really is just an easy place, too, to go listen to the show. Maybe you have a colleague who just isn't into the whole podcast thing. Well, pointing them to the website is a really great place to start. It's really easy to navigate, and you can go find the whole library of episodes there. So go check it out. Well, today I'm so excited to have Delana Carter joining us. So Delena has degrees in elementary education and language and literacy, and she currently serves as elementary supervisor at Calvary Christian School in King, North Carolina. She's taught elementary school as well as at a community college. She's been in both public and Christian education. And in 2022, she started the Student Success Program at Calvary Christian with the goal of helping their school climate, improving teacher appreciation, and helping high school students prepare for their post-secondary education, either whether it's in trade school or by earning their college degree. She found that her role, though, as student success director was dealing more with the personal lives of students. So after additional training, she became a youth mental health coach 2 years ago. In addition to now also being elementary supervisor, Delena coaches middle school basketball for girls alongside of her husband, who's the athletic director, and he coaches varsity boys basketball. She and her husband both graduated from Calvary Christian, which I think is really neat. And they have 3 daughters, and they are all there serving, learning, and being together there in Christian education. So Delena, it is so great to have you here on the show with us today. Thanks for taking some time to be with us.
Thank you, Dr. Copeland. That made me very tired. Hearing all that
You've done a lot.
Or I'm really old. I'm not sure what it is.
No.
It's really great to be here with you. Thank you. I really enjoy your podcast. So I'm honored to be here today.
Well, I'm glad to have you. Okay, so I would love to explore the topic of school culture or school climate. I know that that's a topic that's really near and dear to your heart. Yeah. So as I was introducing you, I briefly mentioned about your burden, and then of course you've had training, but how you also put feet to that burden. And I guess what I mentioned was really general, but if maybe we can halt there for just a second. So culture is just a huge component of every school. We've all been in schools where you can walk in and you just know the culture's not the best. But we've been in others where it's vibrant and exciting, and you can sense that unity, that excitement, kind of that all-in feeling. And when you're talking with teachers or students, even with parents, it just confirms it. But we know that doesn't happen automatically. So I just often wonder, how did they get there? You know, you walk in, you feel it and think, wow, what are they doing? So you've had a pulse on school climate or school culture. That's your world. Right. What are some things that you would see as essential, or maybe even more directly, what are some things that you do even on a daily basis to impact your school and the climate there?
Right. I think that a school should be a place, obviously, where kids are learning, but you want them to be there. You want them to enjoy being there. I mean, I know all kids, I taught 4th grade for many years. I hate school. You know, this is boring, but you really want them to enjoy coming to school, and it's not a drudgery. You're not, as a parent, you're not, you know, dreading sending them off to school every single day. You want it to be a place where they can enjoy their day, something about their day, whether it's their teacher, whether it's that it's a fun day. We want something to be enjoyable about that. And I found that as I was working at the community college and just being in different schools and coaching and going into different schools and just seeing, like, just you walk in their lobby and you see something different all the time. And I found that we just didn't have that, and we were lacking in that. And we were very blessed, and right at COVID, we were able to build a new school. And so it's a beautiful building. We're already busting at the seams, which is fantastic, but having the facilities, but it was a blank canvas. So I was able to come in here, and as they were building it, and we were just looking around like, how can we make this the most pleasant place for these kids to come, where I want to be there, my kids want to be there, so it could be enjoyable. And I think it's threefold. You have to have your staff morale, like your teachers need to want to be there. And obviously the parents, and then you bring the student piece into it. And I never want it to be the teachers against parents and kids. And I never want it to be that, us as a teacher and the students, and the parents are the bad guy. We never want it to be that. So I have triangles and I have visuals up everywhere, but it's really like, it's a triangular. You have your staff morale, your teachers. If we make our teachers happy, and then they're going to better, more effectively, and want to enjoy teaching to my 3 girls that are here as well, to these students. And then, if the parents are sending these kids off every day and they're happy and they're not, crying and they're, hate getting out of the car, then we're all partnering together and it all comes together. And that inside there is the school climate where you're going to have, your 10th grade boys who, this place is awful, but if there's something in the day, and if I can make them enjoy something of their day, and I've really tried to put in a lot of things. I've researched a lot. I love going to other schools to see how they do it, and going to ball games and talking with other teachers and other administrators. I really enjoy seeing how do you make your school tick? How do your kids enjoy it? And even like talking to the kids, what do you got at another school? What do you guys like about your school? What do you enjoy? And it all starts to come together. And I'm a reader, and I love stealing other ideas off of people. And what can I do to make our school better for other people's kids and for my kids as well?
Okay, that's great. So let's dig into that just a little bit more. Okay, so this topic literally affects every single listener. No matter who's with us today, this is going to affect them.
Right.
Can we start with staff morale? So
Absolutely.
I'm probably going to say that of all 3 of those, this element, I would say, well, I don't know. I guess I'll say about all 3 of them. They're all crucial.
Right.
But it's your staff who interact with your parents, your students, with the other staff, and of course, you. What are some ways that you elevate staff morale?
A book that I love the 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. So he has the book, also the 5 the 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. And I soak that in, and he talks about the different gifts, and you have to know your teachers, and whether it's surveys or just different interest inventories or finding out, how they tick, but knowing your teachers and knowing how they operate. And I like to talk about the different gifts that as administrator I can give to my teachers. And one is just time. If your staff meeting can be summed up in a paragraph in an email, don't call a meeting.
Amen.
Don't call a meeting just for meeting's sake. Yes. And when something that I do, and I'll talk about this quite a bit in a little bit, but we've stopped calling them staff meetings. We don't call them staff meetings anymore. They're our professional learning community. So we call a PLC, and that's a whole another podcast for itself. I could talk about that all day. But when we do have these PLCs at 3:30, we have a time. So we develop norms for our staff meeting that they will end at 3:30 to 4. Like they will end at 4 o'clock if no matter what, we're walking out the door. I have snacks for the teachers. Whether it's chips and salsa or some cookies or just something, because they're tired. They've been on their feet and working all day. And then here we've got to come together and, have some more professional development.
Everyone listens better with a snack.
Yeah. Everybody needs their blood sugar, improved a little bit. So it is mandatory. And that is literally one of our norms that we developed, that there will be snacks that we go to a different teacher's room every time. So it's not just the same old room. And we even go down to kindergarten and first grade, and I say, bring your own chair. If you can't sit in these little chairs, bring your own chair.
You don't want your knees above your ears.
Right. But it makes, just because we get so tunnel vision, we're in such a silo sometimes, and we go to our room and we go to the same place. But if we sit in as a student and we look around at what's on the walls and, oh, that's a great idea, I can take that from that teacher. And even you're there for 30 minutes, and even if it's just the kindergarten teacher, and I tried to have the staff PLC, like it's just monthly stuff or changing up things or dates or whatever. But I try to have whoever's hosting, you share something. So when we came back from the teachers conference at Myrtle Beach, I went down like, do you have something great to share? Oh, great. You're hosting, if you don't mind, and you're going to share. So that's just a very quick clip of just going to the different teachers, and then that gives them a sense of belonging, and that they're proud of their room, and that, this is the stuff that my kids are doing. It's just a way of the high school teachers to get to come to elementary, get to go up to the big desk and the big world and see how it is up there. So with the food, I have big meals. I try to have at least 4 duty-free lunches for our teachers throughout the school year. So when we come back after summer break, we have a big meal, big cater meal, and everybody gets to catch up. And when you're sitting over food and you're talking and chatting, it just makes the atmosphere much more relaxed and makes the environment better. And then I do September Thanksgiving, where we'll have the turkey, the everything. And we have student ambassadors, so they serve the teachers. And we get either parent volunteers, myself, other student ambassadors that cover the elementary lunch. So they go in, they take care of that, opening milk cartons and all that. So we have those 2 big meals. And then in February, we have an I Love You lunch for our teachers. Again, it's a catered meal. We get the different parent volunteers, whatever we can do. And then in April, we do another one. And then Teacher Appreciation Week is, fun little things, or I get businesses to do coffee in the morning, or Chick-fil-A to have minis or whatever. I want our teachers to always know that you're appreciated, you were loved here. And if it's a meal, if it's whatever it is, to let them know that they are a professional and we value you. Another thing I try to do every morning as the elementary supervisor is I go in and I try to touch. When I say touch, like I give them, they give me the thumbs up. What do you need? 5th grade teacher, he needed 10 rulers the other morning. Another 1st grade teacher, she had just come back from vacation, and she's like, I could use a coffee. So I went and I had someone make her a coffee. If the teacher needs coffee, or if they need rulers or whatever they need to make their day better, that's what I strive to do. And
right.
if
Makes
whatever
all the difference.
Yes. So I try to do that as much as I can. If it's their birthday, one of the other assistant principals, she'll get them their favorite meal. Like we try to go over and beyond to make our teachers feel like you are valued here. You're appreciated. You are a professional. You're an important part of this piece of the puzzle. And we want you to know that you're loved, and whatever we can do to help, if that's a bathroom break, whatever it is we can do to help, we're here for you.
Yeah, and that's catchy. When you guys are doing it, other people want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I was thinking while you were talking, sometimes we think we have to do huge things for them. It's not. It's even those little things like covering a duty or running and getting a ruler, whatever they need, little things like that. Okay, let's move on to parent relationships. Yes. Okay, so the Christian school is not the parent. We get that. The parent is the parent, and we're to partner with them. And that sounds, just very clear and simple. Yeah, right. Well, each family is different. They handle things differently. They have preferences and opinions and convictions and opinions and requests. And not to mention, at the center of all this is the most precious possession they have, their child. Right. So ultimately, we are on the same team. But let's be transparent. That can be hard at times. Yeah. It takes work. It takes time. And even more work to build those positive relationships. Right. Talk about some strategies you've used.
I will say that my number one line, and probably my favorite duty that I have every day, is the Carline. That is your number one communication with parents. That's where they see you and interact with you. When you open some of those doors and, half of breakfast falls out with those children, and you see where they come from, you start to, homework's not that big of a deal. I see why they didn't finish their homework last night. Yeah. We have a little fella that has some special needs, and a 3rd grader. I pulled him out of his car the other day, and when I walked him to his room, I was like, I pulled him out of the car this morning. He may not have the best day. It's just a great way for the parents see me, and they see the other principal and the PE teacher and myself, like we're in that line, rain, cold, whatever it may be, and we're fist bumping, and we're good morning, and I like your boots or whatever it is. And the parents they trust us because they're dropping off their babies with us.
That visual's so important.
And here you go, here, you have my kid for the day. We, take care of my kid for the day. And if it's someone that is, they're happy to see and high five and how are you? And, oh, your tooth fell out, whatever the case may be, they know, and they have a sense of trust with us as well. So that Carline is, again, it's a duty that most people don't enjoy, but it is probably the best part of my day. And you get to see these parents, and it's great. It's such a great line of communication. I'll say also that your website, and it's something that I've been striving to improve here for our school. I went to a session a couple of years back talking about just trust with website. If you have on your website the 2023 sports calendar, and you also say that this is our pillars and this is what we do, how do they trust you? If you don't care enough about your website and your school to update your 23 calendar, then how do they know? So that level of trust that they have. So, and knowing your audience for your website, is it prospective students? Is it your current families? Like who are you catering to? And we've tried to change ours to meet the needs for both prospective students and for the parents that we have today too. So having that website up to date is very crucial. It takes time. It takes a lot of energy. In most small Christian schools, that's a resource that they may not have. But I will say that investing in that it's worth the money. I'll definitely, the parent feedback and parents and statistics prove that parents are going to see a website or your Facebook or where that way before they step on your property and meet you. They're going to look at that website and do a deep dive and really learn about that. Another thing is the office staff. That's your front line, and they have got to treat every parent, whether it's, calling about the runny nose or whatever it is, that's the most important thing in the world.
Absolutely.
And we have great ladies in our office that really care, and they're very kind and gentle, but that if you may be someone that knows the school up one side, down the other, but they're not the nicest person, you need to train that. I would encourage administrators to train their staff to make that front line, that first phone call or whatever it may be, that maybe make the difference between a child coming to your school or not, or that parent hang up and like, what is their problem? That whole perception is reality thing is so true with that front line, that your front office staff. I would say another thing is to involve your parents. One thing that we started doing is coffee with the principal. And our principal he would much rather sit down and have coffee with someone and just have a small group setting. So we started doing this a couple of times a year. We have a morning session for the first semester, and then we do an evening session to help parents that are working during the day. And the last one we had 13, 15 parents, something like that, just came, and of course we had food and we had coffee and they shared like some safety concerns they had. And we talked about just different things that parents that was on their mind that maybe we never thought about, but it was a concern that the parents had. And they got to see the principal, the assistant principal, myself, they got to see us in a very casual light, that we were just, sitting around drinking a cup of coffee together. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and it's a very great communication that you can have with parents, just one-on-one, very small setting, versus the open house or whatever, the madness of all the people around. But it's very more intimate and much more casual. And you really get the parents that want to be there for that are really the backbone of your school. That's the parents that you want to listen to as an administrator. You want to know their feedback, and they have lots of great ideas as well. Another thing that we changed just to have our parents in the door, we started doing a middle and high school new student orientation. And this was, we have the traditional open house, but this allowed those middle schoolers that are coming from elementary and their parents are nervous and they're nervous and they're getting the lockers or whatever that the big, they're changing classes and all these different things. So my student ambassadors and myself, we break them down into small groups. We had popcorn and a drink, and they had a little orientation together in the cafeteria to start with. And then they broke off into small groups. They showed them what it's like to go to chapel, where the boys sit, where the girls sit, how to get in that locker, which that's the most enjoyable thing, just watching moms and dads and the kids all, trying to spin the locker. But it takes the nerves out of it. It takes the nerves out for the parents and for the kids, so that the first day of school, they can really enjoy it. But anytime that we can have parents, Head Start for middle school. Anytime we can have these parents on our campus where they're coming in, and it's not to go see the principal about a discipline issue, where it's fun. Right. They get to come in and have a good time. That's always a win for us and for them.
I love in each of these are so doable.
Oh, yeah.
Again, sometimes we think we have to throw money at it. We have to give them a big meal, or we have to take them out to some, fun park or something. We don't have to do that. Like everything you mentioned here, Carline, the website, office staff, being friendly and smiley, having coffee with parents and just letting them share their concerns. Yeah. And I hear a theme of time and listening to them. And that just builds those relationships. I'm so glad you mentioned Carline, because Carline is something that every educator tries to escape, right? It's horrible out there sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know what? That is certainly a point where you make that contact every day. They see you, they wave, they stop and ask you questions. I loved, as an administrator, I did Carline every morning, every afternoon. And I love that. And that the students saw me every day. Like you said, you can start their day off with that high five or that praying for you or get in there. What test do you have today? You can do this. And then they reciprocate that. I don't know how many times the student walked up and shared a prayer request or something that was going on. It just gives you that insight. And parents are watching that.
Oh,
so
yes.
I'm so glad you mentioned Carline.
Yes,
okay, let's
watching.
move on to students.
Yes,
so
that's the fun part.
Yes. So you mentioned that the program you implemented is called Student Success. So at first I found that interesting, especially since part of that was parent relationships and teacher morale. But ultimately, as I was thinking about, that does all come back to that student success, right? So there is a connection there. Let's talk about students. What are some ways you work with students to be able to help them, I guess, just be successful at school every day?
Right. So we have made it actually a class, and I try to bring it to the forefront all day, like student success. You're successful. This is success. Being here is a success. So, and I have kind of the school counselor role that I feel, that's not my actual degree, but that role that I feel. And some kids, like, it's such a range being at a K-12 school, because what the kindergartners issue that is their big deal is so different from, the senior that's trying to do college applications and things like that. I'll start with the first of school. I found that our open house was just dreadful. And I've talked to different schools, and I often ask people, like, how boring is your open house? And ours was pretty boring. And I was at a thing for Western Carolina, talking about their open house. And I was like, why do we put everybody in a room and the parents aren't listening? And, we're reading through the handbook, changes, nobody cares. So I was like, we're going to make this a celebration. Summer's over. We're coming back to school. Let's celebrate. So when we walk in the door, we hand them a cookie, a fresh baked cookie from the cafeteria. So they get a warm cookie, and then they get their folder. So we have our office staff there. It's very organized alphabetically. So it's not, the deer in the headlights look of where are we going? Right. And even, I'm going to back up a little further. We have a special time for our kindergarten parents, because most of the time it's their first time in, or they're not sure where everything is, what's going on. Where do we even go? But we have the food for them. We have our art teacher there, band teacher, different people in our foyer. We're very blessed with a large lobby. And as they walk through, they see, that's exciting. And the art teacher had them to do the little fingerprint, like she made a little tree. So they got to interact. We have a photo booth. We have people taking pictures. The athletic department's there talking about sports. Any questions that we can ask. And it's fun, and it's lively, and it's enjoy, like, welcome back to school, not welcome back to school. It's a celebration. Yeah. Summer's over. Get back.
Sorry.
But they get to see their friends that they haven't seen in a while. And it's truly a celebration. We want that to be a fun experience for them. So if we can start off even before school starts with, we're excited to be here. We're happy. Parents are happy. They got to walk away with a cookie, and they got photo booths, different stations they got a family picture, like that's a win-win. Our first day of school, we try to have the mascot there and photographers. We keep our same photo booths out, but have a little thing like, I'm in first grade, like holding little signs, or, different little things just to make them
memories.
Oh yeah, definitely. And those parents, they truly love that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I had my baby came to kindergarten this year. So even I was like, it's, the last one, we got to take all the pictures. I try to make as many fun days as we can. So at the beginning of the year, we do a fun Friday day. So I go through, pick out some Fridays, Christmas ugly sweater day, and maybe it'll make their Friday a little more pleasant. Maybe they've got a spelling test.
To look forward to.
Yes. Something that's just fun, truly fun on that Friday. The 100th day of school, we go all out for that. It's mostly for elementary, but, we have our little old lady and man dressed up, and we have them in the wheelchair and the walkers, there in Carline. And again, parents are like, oh, wow, it makes the parents feel like that's really fun. Or look at them going all out, different things. And we go, the teachers wear shirts, and we have the 100th day stickers, and we go visit all the classrooms. And I used to be the 100th day of school old lady, and my middle daughter was mortified. So she's like, you can't be the old lady anymore. So I get someone else to do that now.
Dethroned.
But yes. Read Across America Day, just get different speakers to come in. Something that we started a few years ago is called Reading Buddies. So it's a way to promote literacy. So I have our 2nd through 5th grade students to partner. They go to read to a class. So my 5th graders go to kindergarten classes. My different ones go to the preschool that we have, and it's just, they're proud to read a book. And so I'm promoting literacy, and it's crossing over, like those preschool kids are seeing the big kids from the other school. And then our first graders, they kind of get left out a little bit, but some of them aren't quite ready to read, but they come and read to the office on Fridays. And that's a big deal for them, just to come in here, and they're nervous and they're excited, but they got to go read to the office staff. And that's so really great. Cool for them. We have a daily slideshow. So when we got the building over here, I push for TVs in our lobby, different TVs everywhere. So we have it hooked up with a laptop, and it was a PowerPoint presentation. Now I do a Canva presentation. It's just, we start with the day, and we put the weather and kids' birthdays. So just birthdays of the week, the teacher, if it's a teacher's birthday, if we've had a ball game the night before, who was the athlete or the player of the game. And, if the second grade went on a field trip, we have those pictures to put it. And those kids, it takes maybe 4 or 5 minutes to scroll through, and we just have it on a loop. And last year at Christmas, I started putting Christmas music to it, and we had such good feedback, just as literally as parents walk in the door, like there was Christmas music playing. So we've started putting the music on as soon as they walk in the door, and any guests, whatever, they come in, they hear music. So that kind of takes the stress level down a little bit if it's a new family. And then there's these pictures scrolling of kids, and like, wow, look at the exciting things they're doing here.
So camaraderie. I love that between the grade levels. They don't know what each other's doing. That's great.
No, yeah. And I try to chunk it by, like, this is the elementary, the middle and high school. They kind of get their own thing too, but it's scrolling through, and even put in places around the world. And today's Veterans Day, so they put up veterans that have been through our school, put up their pictures, just as a way of showing these kids, every kid loves to see themselves. They want to see. So, they're like, and it goes to the lunchroom as well. So they're sitting there at lunch and watching, and they're like, look, here I come.
How do you get them to go to class? They're all going to be in the lobby.
Well, it's sometimes it's funny because my assistant and I, we put a lot of work into the slideshow every day. And we kind of get, like, what do you mean you didn't see it on the slideshow? Or like, we put so much work into that. How dare you not look at that? But it does take a lot of work. It's a lot of time, but those kids really enjoy it. And it's just a way for them to get to show their different accomplishments off, and especially those athletes of the game, like those high school boys. They will, like, they'll let me know you forgot to put the athlete of the game up, or they'll remind me.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, just asking for a friend. One more thing I like to make: we started a student ambassador program, which is kind of like a student council, so to speak. But we have middle and high school, so 8th grade through our seniors. And this year we have 10 students that we have chosen. They have to do an application process, and it's kind of a way to get them thinking of the career and a job application, getting references. And we have a group, myself, principals, other folks, that we come together and we really review these applications, and they get shirts. They get some extra perks. Like we have where they get out of class to serve the meals, and we do a big end of year celebration that they do where we get to go off campus, different things. But our pillars are to lead others, dedicate yourself, and to serve others. And I feel like we do a good job of serving and dedicating. But this year I really had a burden to teach these students to be leaders, because some of them, they're natural leaders. They just stand out as natural leaders. Some of them, they're great kids, but they don't know how to be leaders. So I've been getting guests to come in, just different people in the community, business owners, another principal at another school, just to come in and talk to these students about how to be a leader and how to train to be a leader, a Christian leader in their school. Yes, we're a Christian school, but not every student here, unfortunately, has that goal for themselves. So it's just a way to teach these students, and it's been very successful. We've had several years we've been doing this, and it's the ones who've passed on who were student ambassadors. They can put it on resumes, they can put on college applications. It's just a really good way to teach them what it's going to be like, some future plans, and it just makes them really learn that some of those leadership skills that maybe they didn't know that they even had. Another thing that I really like is I had students, I found that they were doing things for negative reinforcement, and as far as like getting in trouble for just to get some attention. And so we started a school store, and it's been a bear. That does take a lot of money. We try to get some, cheap things where we can, but we do a monthly school store. So you get little cougar bucks. So we're the cougars here. Wow, so you get cougar bucks, and that's our behavior incentive or reward for doing good things. And a lot of times kids will be like, I'll clean up your trash. Can I get cougar bucks? No, we want you to do it because no one was there watching you.
That's right.
So they earn their Cougar bucks. We keep up with it in a big spreadsheet, and then we make a little brochure. So we're kind of like our own little Amazon, so to speak. And then we deliver that to their rooms. And we just want those students to know, we're glad you're here. We're glad when you do the right thing. We see you doing the right thing, and we want to reward you for that. Again, it gets into a little bit of little extra money out of my budget that sometimes I'm like, I don't know, not real sure where this is coming from, but
investment.
It truly is an investment. And we want them to know good behavior is rewarded. And once you get out of school, like you probably get a bonus if you're working over and beyond with your employer, with your job. It's just a good way to show them that good work and good behavior, it does pay off.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I do not think we can get more practical than this. This is absolutely fantastic. So boosting teacher morale, building positive parent relationships, pouring into the students to see them succeed. We're in the midst of the holiday time right now, so everyone's kind of crazy and hyped. We know that, either by their schedule or by extra sugar or whatever else they're getting. But there is some natural excitement in the air right now. That being said, we know January to February kind of gets to be a dull time coming, right? The skies are a little more gray. The weather's a little colder in some places. There are fewer holidays. We don't get as many breaks, and they're still recovering from the holidays. And honestly, it's easier, I think, then for the morale to kind of dip a little bit, for relationships to get a little strained, and even things to seem a little draggy for students. As we close out this episode, I wonder if you can give the listeners any other practical ideas of things they could do to help improve their school climate. Honestly, this could be something that they could try out as everyone comes back from the holidays, or really any time in the year. But what are some really good starting points? If the climate's low, it's going to take some work to pull that back up, but I'm confident there are listeners who want to do that. They're listening and saying, okay, I need to do some of this. Where could they start?
I think just January usually is around the time for the 100th day of school. That would be a great place to start. It's something to look forward to and to talk about. And for the elementary students, this is 100 days of you learning and growing, and you are 100 days smarter than where you were before. I do another thing here, because sometimes if the kids having issues or something's going on, they may not want to feel comfortable or even want to come and talk to someone. I have these around the school. It's the blue slip, and it says, I need to see you. And on here, it says, is it school? Is it a teacher, a friend, home, your grades? Maybe even to share good news. And I have the option where, like, is this small? I mean, is this an emergency? Something we need to talk about today? And I have them a place where they can turn them into the office. And in my office here, we have a couch, and I have chill pills, which are just M&Ms, but they think they're magic, and it's just a chill pill. Just to sometimes
I think I need some.
Well, it's funny. The office staff usually cleans me out more than the students do.
They need a lot of chill pills.
But they come in and they talk about things that are going on. I'll tell you a funny story. I had a fourth grade girl one time, and she filled out that it was a home situation and it was emergency. And I graduated with her dad, so I knew her very well, and she said it's my home life, and I'm already thinking, okay, Lord help me, how am I going to help her with this? And she said, it's my cat, my dad, it's cold, and my dad won't let him stay in at night, and I'm afraid something's going to get him. And I mean, we can kind of laugh at that as adults, but in her fourth grade little mind, that was an emergency, and that was a big deal. And I'm just thankful. I was like, okay.
And she knew you would care too.
Right.
I mean,
and
that
she
says
knew
a lot.
that she could come in here, and, we talked about her cat, and we talked about her dad, because I knew him well, and different things. And with that being said, I always try, I don't want to ever for it to be me, the kids and myself, that we're ganging up on parents, because she obviously was upset with her dad. So I always try to have a paper trail. And then if it's something I feel like that the parents need to know about that maybe they couldn't talk about with the parent, I try to communicate that also, so that I don't want it ever to be, well, what are y'all talking about at that school? What did you tell my kid? I document everything, and I try to just be an open door for the kids and for the parents as well. And sometimes I feel successful at that. Sometimes I feel like I strike out, but I want them to always know that we're here for them. We're available. And if they're thinking about their cat all day long, they're probably not paying much attention to math or, spelling or whatever else it is. And if we can ease the emotional side of that a little bit, maybe it'll definitely help the learning and build that up as well.
That's great. Those are excellent. 2 more ideas there, that blue slip. And of course, 100th day of school coming up. And no one is too old to celebrate that. Everybody loves a little fun. So those are great things for as we come back from the holidays. Delena, this has been so much fun. I just really appreciate how you clearly identified those three main areas, really taking us back to the basics. And then you gave us some actionable items, some things that are really doable. And
Right.
hey, all that's left is for us to go do them, right?
Yeah, right.
So seriously, though, this has been so practical and so helpful and really challenging to us, too, that we can each play into the climate of our school. So thank
Right.
you so much for letting us tap into your experience and your expertise. I've loved every minute of having you on the
Awesome.
show. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
This was so fun. Thank you so much.
All right, listeners, as we sign up for today, I hope that you have found at least one thing that you can take back with you and that you can put into motion. It's not just about collecting ideas, it's about action as well. So maybe it's with those that you teach with on your team, maybe it's with your students. You don't have to change the school tomorrow. You can start small. You can start with those closest to you, and you can make a difference in your school's climate. You don't have to be the head of the school. You don't have to be the administrator. Regardless of who you are, you can impact your colleagues, your students, and their parents for good. So let's take the challenge and find even just one way that we can boost the climate at our schools this week. I'm so glad that you joined us. And as you sign off, just another reminder to go to teachereditionpodcast.com to learn more about the show and to submit some questions for our upcoming episodes. Of course, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media. Now, it's time to get back to your day, but it's not just any day. Every day in the classroom is your day to impact and inspire through God's power and through His grace working in you. Go do what God has called you to do.